I recently sailed on Royal Caribbean's megaship Quantum of the Seas on a 6-night cruise from Brisbane, and today I'll be sharing 5 things I loved and 4 things I didn't on board Quantum of the Seas. The ship itself is pretty young by cruise ship standards, as she was launched in 2014, making her only 10 years old, but despite almost a decade of service, Quantum of the Seas upholds a place among Royal Caribbean favourites. First off, I loved the amount of included activities found on board. Where Quantum of the Seas and her sister Ovation differ from other cruise ships in Australia are the amount of activities offered on board, most without paying extra. Activities like the bumper cars and the flow rider were open daily and you could ride them as many times as you want, but other activities such as roller skating, laser tag and the iFly you could only do once for free and required a reservation. What was a bit of a letdown though was that Royal Caribbean now charged for the iFly and the North Star, both of which used to be free. However, if you reserved either one of those attractions on a port day, they become complimentary. There was one major problem I had with the activities, however, and those were the queues. Sailing on a megaship, queues were inevitable, and I knew that, but what awaited us on board were queues that was like snaking around corners with insane wait times for almost every activity. Lines were so big for bumper cars whenever they were open, and I just avoided the whole Cplex area altogether. When you do have the time and patience, however, the result makes it worthwhile. My advice of how to beat the queues is to arrive around 15-30 minutes before the activity opens, or ride close to closing time. Another thing I loved on board were the shows. The shows on board Quantum were some of the best I've ever seen on a ship, and they were plentiful. One I especially loved was called Sonic Odyssey and played in an expansive real theatre. It was full of crazy instruments like the earth harp, a violin dress, playable jackets, and even a drum wall. Quantum does offer an entire other theatre at the opposite end of the ship called 270. What is usually a lounge by day turns into a vibrant theatre at night, with one headliner show, Starwater. Although this show does require a reservation, you can just show up and see if there are any available seats, but I definitely recommend seeing it if you have the chance. But there is more to entertainment than just shows, and unfortunately Royal Caribbean didn't do the best job in this area. Just coming off Carnival's Splendor before this cruise, I was expecting relatively similar entertainment options outside of the Broadway-style numbers. However, we were all a bit disappointed to find that the options like comedy shows and nightly karaoke weren't found on board. They did have the occasional karaoke night, but they were often during the shows, so you would often have to pick one or the other. Another thing I loved on board was the layout of the ship. I know it sounds boring, but Royal Caribbean really did do a great job when designing the layout for the Quantum class. It's easy to find your way around, and most major public rooms just flow seamlessly to the next. All public rooms in the interior of the ship were based around 3 main areas: the Royal Esplanade, Beauty Avenue, and the Via. All 3 of these connected to one another, which made it especially easy to find your way around. There's one thing that I've seen on most negative reviews about this ship, and unfortunately, that's the food. The food was lacking on board compared to other ships, and some even local restaurants. While it wasn't terrible, and I did enjoy most of it, considering that we spent over $13,000 for 8 of us, I was expecting better quality food. One area I did find the food especially lacking was in the main dining rooms. The food is cold and lacking in taste, and the service is understandably slow. In my opinion, stick with the buffet, as it actually offers the exact same food except it's fresh and a whole lot quicker. One of the most popular parts of any cruise ship is the pools, and on Quantum they were plentiful. The ship boasted 4 onboard pools, including an outdoor pool, an indoor adults only solarium, and a small kids wave pool. This meant there were lots of options for swimming, and was useful when the weather wasn't the best. This definitely helped to spread out the crowds, but that didn't mean that there weren't any crowds in the pools altogether. A major letdown for me especially was the Teens Club. Even though this is where I met most of my friends on board, the club is rarely used, and when it's not open, it's just locked and a waste of space. Apparently this is because there is no adult supervision, despite the fact that there is neither on the rest of the ship. At the very least, it would have been nice to just wander in there and lounge around. Also, getting in is a hassle, as the staff had us all line up and count us each time it opened. Finally, something my whole family found useful was the amount of storage space on board. We booked 2 standard ocean view balconies and had 4 people staying in each, and we didn't even fill up the closets and drawers. Everyone would basically just get their own section of the storage, and it fitted everything just fine. There were 2 long cabinets above the bed, and large closets and drawers on either side, as well as a large vanity area with a bunch of drawers and cabinets. Well, those are 5 things I loved and 4 things I didn't on board Quantum of the Seas. If you enjoyed or just love cruise ships, please consider liking and subscribing, as it really helps our channel. Thanks so much, and we'll see you on the next one.